Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and we haven't looked at coin market cap in a little while, but this market has just crossed $2.6 trillion dollarini, okay? And in fact, I needed to make a little note for myself here. Now, $2.6 trillion. Now, let's go look at what's going on. So you have Bitcoin and Ethereum kind of leading the market right now. And then, of course, XRP under an SEC lawsuit by design is being held down, while the two lesser technologies continue to go up because the Bitcoin Ethereum proof of work marketing machine has put it in this place. Okay, I believe, just staring at this list, I believe that before this thing is over, all wrongs will be righted, and in terms of price discovery, because let's face it, XRP of all the digital assets in the entire digital asset universe is the one that has had no real price discovery. And because remember, 2017-18 when the surges happened, which digital asset outperformed all of them? That would be XRP. I believe that's when a lot of the bad guys out there that didn't want to have to compete with XRP set in motion a series of events to try to slow it down. And I believe that's part of what we're watching now. And more on that in a bit. But make no mistake, folks, the cream always rises to the top. And it is no different here. You will see it. And so, by the way, speaking of the bad guys, so Gary, it's almost as if they're sticking their finger in our eye and trying to make fun of us. You know what I mean? This Gary Gensler. Now, think about this. Are you telling me that Gary Gensler doesn't know how angry all the investors out there, the XRP holders? You think he doesn't know that there's all these people out there that are furious with the obvious conflicts of interest that he has and that all these people in the SEC have had? You think he doesn't know how angry that everybody out here is about the Bill Hinman speech and what a farce that is and was, and what kind of conflicts of interest there were there? You think he doesn't know that Bill Hinman speech took place at the Yahoo Finance All Market Summit? The only way you tweet this, unless you plan on going to that summit and announcing a settlement with Ripple and releasing the XRP that he is holding down, unless that's your plan, this is full-blown cocky arrogance right here to even tweet this out. To even tweet it out is kind of like a flipping the bird to everybody out here, because he knows that's where the Bill Hinman speech took place, and he knows what we all think of it. So, aside from coming out and announcing a settlement today, F you, Gary. That's kind of what I say to that. F you right back at you. Now, coin market cap, this tweet's interesting to me. Legends will be made over the next few months. I believe legends have already been made. But the real legends are the truth tellers. Is not you can lie all you want, folks. People can lie all they want. They can try to create reality, as Joseph Lubin says, but lies ultimately don't stand the test of time. Okay, and so the legends that are going to be made are the truth tellers, in my opinion, not these people that are trying to create their own reality and make you believe something that just ain't so. Because people aren't stupid, and when you assume that people are stupid, eventually those people that really aren't stupid, they get really pissed off because they don't want to be lied to, and they will find the truth no matter who tries to put the truth down and to subvert the truth. People will find the truth, and they're not stupid. Okay, so yeah, legends will be made, and they will be the truth tellers. Who wants to have legends that are liars? Not me. Michelle VanDenberg. Check this out, folks. I'm just going to let you hear it.
Let's move on to your presentation at this conference that you'll be making later in the day. The theme is the demise of the Federal Reserve. Pretty strong words. What do you mean by that?
It is. It's something that the media hasn't caught on to yet, but it is the chain reaction of what is going on right now will lead to this. And basically, I'll be talking about how, the debt that the government is taking on, coupled with the Federal Reserve's balance sheet that keeps ballooning, coupled with interest rates that they just want to keep lower, will eventually create a situation, a collapse in the system where you will no longer see the Fed in its current form. It'll be kind of abolished, if you will. And that's going to happen strictly because the people will demand it. And they're going to go over it. It relates to cryptocurrency because eventually you're going to see a switch over to this kind of blockchain, crypto, digital currencies that will eventually be the future.
Okay, so you've outlined your thesis. Walk us through the mechanics of how this abolishment, this transition will happen, and what new form the Federal Reserve can take.
Yeah, so the chain of events started actually in 1977 with the dual mandate. So as soon as the Fed got put in the position of having to monitor unemployment plus inflation, that was the beginning of the end for the Federal Reserve. The reason it was is because basically, if you want to keep unemployment low at all times, which is what the Fed wants to do, you have to constantly stimulate the economy, right? By printing money and keeping interest rates low. Well, you can't be the parent that spoils the child and then also be the one that's hard-nosed and says, well, we're going to raise interest rates because inflation's getting out of control. You can't do that. And that was the beginning of the chain reaction that I'll talk about in the presentation. After the collapse, you'll see a new body come up that'll be in charge of the digital currency, whatever it may be. And eventually, you'll see this digital currency probably being used all over the world, even as the reserve currency.
Okay. And now, I know that BitBoy is a love or hate guy. There's a lot of people that are listening to my voice that can't stand this guy, and I get it, okay? I want you to understand that I show his things because when I see someone saying things like he's saying, it interests me, and so I think that maybe it will interest you. If you hate him, don't watch it. I understand. I get it. All of the talk where he's like, I'm the supreme leader of the XRP army and all that. Understand, this guy is just tweaking the XRP army or whatever. He's just messing with you all, trying to. Who cares about all that? What I'm interested in is and maybe he's full of crap. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. Maybe he'll be proven to be true. I don't know. But it's still interesting what he's saying, and then I've got another clip of Jeremy Hogan's wife, who's an attorney, doing a video, and I wanted to take something he said and add it to that, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But first, listen to this.
Sending me information, as you guys know, and it's funny, two of my employees, I guess, here at BitBoy Crypto, are out somewhere, and they happen today to speak to somebody that works at Ripple. I'm not going to say what department they work at, but I don't want to dox the person or anything like that, but an actual Ripple employee that they talked to. And the Ripple employee said that they're expecting this thing to be over quarter two of 2022. Q2 2022. Boom, boom, let's go. That doesn't sound very exciting, does it? Quarter two, 2022. Now, here's the thing. Now, listen here. Dear Mr. Ripple's employee that talked to my people today, I would like to say that, that's not exactly right. Now, the people that work at Ripple, you have to understand how high level the information that I've been given. Now, look, granted, timeline's not worked out. It certainly is not. But everything I've said about the settlement will come true, and then people will see it was just a delay on the timing. But it is what it is. I understand why people are doubtful at this point. But when the settlement comes out, and when we have the news about what the settlement focuses on, which is the marketing, no one else, not another single person on YouTube is telling you what the basis of the settlement will be. So this will be very easy when this happens, that you will be able to see who it was that had the right information. And at that point, if you want to keep doubting, then I don't know why in the world you would. But the point here is, that's what it's going to focus on. We know this is going to be over sometime in the fall. Now, here's the thing. We had talked about how, it's possible that Bitcoin's delay in moving up, as it was still below $50,000, could be due to this huge XRP news when the settlement breaks. The highest levels of Ripple know what's going on. I would say probably there's maybe 3 to 4 people at Ripple that actually know the settlement is an RA done deal. I'd say there's probably about the same number at the SEC that know this is a done deal.
All right. So there's that. Then Jeremy Hogan's wife last night released a video, and here's some of her commentary, and I tacked on the end what the BitBoy commentary that is relevant to this. Listen to this.
You out there watching, if you own XRP when you bought it, you had no agreement with Ripple that it would work for you. In fact, the contracts that are referenced in this interrogatory, we haven't even seen yet. But I would be shocked if any of them are between Ripple and, let's say, John Smith from Little Rock, Arkansas. Instead, these contracts are between Ripple and other businesses. So as we discussed in other videos, the SEC is going to be forced to argue that Ripple marketed to retail purchasers as though there was an investment contract. Or it can go through each and every contract and try and find something in the contracts that somehow ties Ripple to people who bought XRP on Coinbase last year. My instinct is that the SEC won't try and go down that road and will instead concede that it is bringing a marketing case.
But when the settlement comes out, and when we have the news about what the settlement focuses on, which is the marketing, no one else, not another single person on YouTube is telling you what the basis of the settlement will be. So this will be very easy when this happens, that you will be able to see who it was that had the right information. And at that point, if you want to keep doubting, then I don't know why in the world you would. But the point here is that's what it's going to focus on. We know this is going to be over sometime in the fall. Now,
okay, now I wanted to show you this. Okay, this is a tweet from StevenHuber. He says, attention, at the Ethereum presale, Joseph Lubin explicitly called for large purchases to be split between different anonymous addresses, unlike with Ripple and XRP, where everything is transparent. Nobody knows who holds how much Ethereum. He was deliberately called, he has deliberately called for it to be covered up. Okay, and this is from the Ripple Eye thread. And then he goes on to say, consensus, Lubin, JP Morgan could hold a bigger part of Ethereum than Ripple holds in its XRP in its escrow. Again, he has deliberately called for it to be covered up. I can't argue with anything that StevenHuber is saying here, but from this tweet, it reminded me of that time that Brad Garlinghouse was on stage with Joseph Lubin. So what I did is I show you the clips from them being on stage together, and then we put in the clip of Joseph Lubin saying to split the accounts up if you want to help disguise your large purchases of Ethereum at the pre-sale.
So, but you do sell it regularly, right? Don't you sell it into the market?
Transparent about that. How much do you sell?
So here you've got, understand the significance of this, folks. You got this arrogant piece of you-know-what, Joseph Lubin, who's basically looking at Brad Garlinghouse and saying, oh, look, don't you guys sell a lot of this XRP? Meanwhile, Joseph Lubin knows that he hasn't been transparent at all. He has kept hidden from the public who bought the Ethereum at the pre-sale. And remember, we know that because he said so, JP Morgan was involved in Ethereum before the token launched. So who bought that Ethereum at that pre-sale? And for years, we've seen all these Bitcoin and Ethereum maxis. We've seen them point at Ripple and say, oh, you're not decentralized. You're not a real crypto because you hold most of it. You know what the difference has been? Is Ripple has been honest and shown you, here's what we're doing, here's what we're selling, here's what we own, here's what's in escrow. Joseph Lubin didn't do any of that. Nobody has ever known. And it goes for Bitcoin too. We don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. We know that he owns, 1 or 2% of all the Bitcoin out there? Almost as if someone designed it that way. And it ain't, I've told you before, it is not. And I do repeat, not. Bitcoin was not created by some libertarian in his bathrobe that just happens to be a good guy. It was created by probably a lot of the people that are behind all this other shady stuff, folks. This was all done by design. I've said it for a long time. And the only people who have been transparent have been Ripple. These guys, Lubin, Ask him. Don't take my word for it. People need to start putting microphones in this guy's face and say, who bought the Ethereum? Where can we see those email addresses that were split up, or where it was split so that it could be disguised? Where are the people? Where are the journalists putting a microphone in this guy's face and making him answer this? Where is the government? All right.
When necessary, sure.
And I think, look, I'm talking about transparency because I think for the whole industry to mature, we need to be transparent in the industry. Ripple, I think, has tried to lead by example with that. And I think there's other ecosystems that I have no idea what's going on in those ecosystems. And I don't think that's good for the whole industry. And so I think that's bad for Ripple, too. The only interjection I have here is I find it interesting that Ripple is attacked for being transparent. Because we are very proactive, and we put actually the next XRP markets report, which we do quarterly, will come out sometime at the end of this week. But because we share that information, then we're attacked for it, yet other platforms don't share that information, and so they are insulated from those same critiques.
Now listen to this interviewer ask Joe Lubin about this against that backdrop.
I think in the dictionary that's called hypocrisy. I'm not 100% sure, but it's close.
Is there any plan for greater transparency within Consensus in terms of how it deploys its Ethereum?
Internally, sure.
We're going to have transparency internally. Let me translate that for you. Oh, yes. Inside of our company, between me and all the people there, yeah, we're going to have a lot of transparency. We'll all know what's going on. But you on the outside, you're not going to know crap about who owns this Ethereum and all that stuff. I mean, what a can of BS.
And we're a private company, and
Ripple's a private company too.
Oh, how awesome is that?
Absolutely. And transparency is important to us, but we also have to be strategic about information that we release. And
this is the guy, he just told you how transparency is important to him.
Can buy from any number of different identities. We may limit the size, the unit size of a sale, just to make it easier to disguise. Let's say if you're a whale and you want some privacy, you can buy 50,000 units, and so nobody scares people with an enormous initial purchase. So if you are a whale, if you want planning on investing several million US dollars worth, then you can do that for multiple identities.
Multiple identities. Now, look, folks, my father, the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel, he's in his 70s now. And he was at my hunt club this weekend. And I played this video of Joseph Lubin saying about the multiple identities and disguising the purchases. And I played it for my dad. I mean, this is a guy who ran his own business for decades, my dad. I played it for him, and he just looked at me and he said, that guy's in trouble. And look, unless our country's gone and this is a total rigged game from now on, and that nobody is ever held accountable for their actions, this guy, what he said here, if we live in a country now where this guy is not held accountable for his actions, then it's gone. You don't have a country anymore, folks. The law doesn't matter anymore as long as you're somebody different. I mean, that you and I did what he just said out loud. I can't even believe it. I can't even believe that the guy said it in any forum. I'm blown away by it. John Deaton says perception becomes reality. If you create a strong enough narrative and perception, and people believe that perception, then the perception becomes reality. It's marketing 101. Look at the, I've shown you this before. He says, Joseph Lubin managed to con the media, tech companies, developers, and exchanges to board the Ethereum train, and they are all perpetuating the myth. And we are still waiting for Ethereum 2.0 to materialize on the back of an ICO that is still building out. Now, this right here, I've shown you this before, but it's worth reading over and over and over, because this is some real sick stuff. when you really understand, this is Joseph Lubin's own words. This is really, really sick. I mean, this is like a God complex. So let's read it out loud again. In that process, we pretty much defined what Ethereum is and what Ether is, Lubin said. I realized that we had an opportunity to tell people what this is. And there was a good chance that they were just going to accept our understanding and that we could create reality that way. And it seems to have worked. We seem to have created a reality. You know, this reminds me of the time that when all the no, I'm not going to say that. Here's what I will say. I remember a certain time when somebody was being deposed on TV, and I remember that when they said, well, that depends on what the definition of is. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, so this is is this where we are now? I mean, come on. That's when you have reached the heights of not telling the truth, folks. Now, you remember a while back, because I do, I have a pretty good memory in this crypto space. Barry Silbert tweeted this out. Remember when the Bitcoin, the problems with energy uses from Bitcoin and proof of work became an issue because it's the truth. It is an issue. Well, Barry Silbert called it FUD because he is in the Bitcoin, Ethereum proof of work marketing machine. In fact, he owns CoinDesk, okay? But back then he said, what if there was one company that was behind most of the Bitcoin energy usage FUD? Now that would make for a sensational story for somebody to write. And I remember when Melton Demers, I think that's how you say her name, replied to his tweet here and said it starts with an R and ends with an E or something to that effect. So they were basically trying to lob this out there as it was Ripple. So I decided that I would retweet his tweet and say, what if there were facts, a timeline, names and dates of who was behind the Ethereum free pass at the expense of the rest of crypto? What if over 50,000 people were in possession of that information? Now that would make for a sensational story for somebody to write. And I just copied in John Deaton's, these are the facts and they are not in dispute. I just wanted to make sure that Barry Silbert had his hands on that timeline. He needs to see it if he hasn't. Now, shoot, I have run over time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish it there. But before I finish it, I want to go over, let me just make this video a little longer. So here's the Stuart Alderati tweet. Add Australia to the list of countries that have woken up to the fact that regulatory uncertainty must be tackled with a sense of urgency to retain and develop jobs and growth in the crypto asset economy. Now its senators are working with industry participants. And then there's this. This is insanity. Remember Janet Yellen, because we've seen her not disclaimers. When these people get put in these offices, they have to give these. They have to file a sheet saying where their income has come from over the last few years. She was paid millions of dollars by all these rich people, billionaires and all these people, to give speeches over the course of the last few years. And now there's this. Charles Hoskinson says, taxing unrealized capital gains, also known as how to burn your nation down in 60 minutes. This is Janet Yellen.
Well, I think what's under consideration is a proposal that Senator Wyden and the Senate Finance Committee have been looking at that would impose a tax on unrealized capital gains on liquid assets held by extremely wealthy individuals, billionaires.
Now, I don't care what she says. If they're floating, I've watched the government for long enough in my life. If they're floating the idea of taxing unrealized gains to billionaires and only liquid assets, that's just step one in the phase of how these people operate. Once they get away with it with somebody, then it ultimately is going to apply to all of us. This is some sick thinking. And for those of you that don't understand what that means is, let's say you let's say you own, well, let's use XRP as an example. Let's say you invested $100,000 in XRP and now it's worth $200,000. You have an unrealized gain of $100,000. Well, this government right now, the way things work is until you sell that, you don't realize the gain. But what she's talking about is, oh, well, the government's saying, hey, well, you've got 200,000, you put 100,000 in, we're going to go ahead and tax you on the 100,000 that it's appreciated, even though you haven't sold it. In other words, it's gonna force you into a situation where you have to sell your investment that you would have held because you believe in it and because you believe it could go to, say, $100. But now you're forced into selling this investment and to cover the taxes. So what it does is it creates a situation where those of us down here, we wouldn't be able to climb into the wealthy status. But what does she care? Because that's who she is and that's who all her friends are. And yeah, she might be telling you, oh yeah, it's just billionaires. Yeah, right. In fact, it's probably the exact opposite, probably not them at all. And then it applies to the middle class. Look, this is some sick stuff right here, folks. I mean, this is sick stuff right here. Well, right now, your only savior is things like iTrustCapital. I have 2 IRA accounts with iTrustCapital. If you have an old job or if you're leaving a job, 401k, and you want to roll it in and invest in some crypto, you can look in the description of my video. I've got 1 month off free coupon for iTrustCapital. And you can or you can just go to iTrustCapital.com and tell them the digital asset investor sent you. Okay. And these guys, this is the way to go. This is my favorite way to invest in crypto, is in either a tax deferred or tax free account. So it's iTrustCapital.com. Go check that out. They are my sponsor and I am a customer. Same thing for Link2. These guys allow you to invest in private equity in some of these companies that are building in this blockchain space, as well as other companies. Like, for instance, Zipline is my understanding that it's a commercial drone company for delivering things. Okay, so but I wanted to tell you today. I don't know if they've added it yet, but they were going to add some Uphold. It's sold. The Uphold's fully subscribed right now. They've got a little bit more of the Ripple left, but that doesn't usually last long. But they're adding some Uphold, and apparently Uphold has had quite the last quarter, and so these guys are interesting. I own some Uphold, I own some Ripple, I own some Kraken, I own some Link2. I feel these are 4 of the companies on here that are in the blockchain arena, and so that's kind of my wheelhouse. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family to go check out linqto.com. It's one of my sponsors.